Right. Hopefully I did this correctly. And right, almost correctly. I'll take it. I'll take it. Right, let's. Hello. Uh, just trying to set the background because I am really bad at this. And it hates me. Hello, I tried to set this up before and it is refusing to let me do this. So, be patient, please. I am trying my hardest. OBS is notorious for doing this. Nothing much, just trying to. Uh, can you do the thing now? It's not doing the thing. The file is open. I would appreciate you doing the thing. Wait, it's not doing the thing. It is refusing to. Apparently, it hates me setting a background. Apparently, it hates it. Um. So, I'm just gonna do the semi smart thing of opening the thumbnail where I drew it and to that window capture. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The background should. Okay, it's set. You are not late. I haven't even started. Technically. Um, I've been trying to set up the background, and this is the best it's letting me to do. Alright. Yeah, fun thing. I was originally not gonna have a script for this. Um, I was just gonna write down a few points to go over. But my brain decided, no, no, you're gonna have a script. So, once I fix the ever looming problem of my computer refusing to charge, which should take around it fixed while I did the thing. So, you don't have to like the video. Thank you, vibes, but that's not needed. This is essentially my ranting place. Because I know my friends are tired of hearing it. So, Empires Season 2. I I mentioned in the community post that again I wasn't gonna do a thing like this until season 2 was done, but I changed my mind because I'm that pissed. Also disappointed, but we will get there when we get there. Uh, And also I feel that it's important to write down my thoughts and also record them. That's kind of important in this, I guess. So I'm gonna be going through 3 points and 100% just assumptions on my end that I have about this season. So, assumption number one, they either have too much lore or too little lore to fill up the season. Assumption number two, they don't interconnect their role. They didn't interconnect their lore or didn't do it properly. 3. They didn't plan how this fits into season 1 as a whole. Now, these are strong claims. I know, but I think I've proven them. And I'm saying this in the past tense because we're following a script, people. We're slightly professional for once. Hooray. Okay, that works way better. We are slightly professional for once. It's fine, don't worry. You won't miss much, to be fair. My computer's not charging again. Great, great. Alright. So, assumption number one. Too little sus. I'm gonna get to that vibes. Could you... Like, I'm just gonna stop acknowledging the chat until I move on to the second point. I think that's the best way for me to be able to do this. So, assumption one. Too little says too much lore for the season, and right off the bat, this probably feels off. Thank you. You don't have to shut up, but you won't be acknowledged until I'm ready to shut up. I am not sorry. Anyways, so saying that there's too much lore feels off. I know it does. But here's the thing. It has too much lore when you factor in seasons 1 lore, which I don't think they factored in at all. But we'll get to that bridge. We'll cross it. Let me try and keep my thoughts vaguely organized here. Basically, they meant season 2 to continue season 1. We know it, it's a fact, but they hate going near it, except if you're Subble, Sausage, and maybe Pixel. Might be wrong at that. Don't watch Pixel Rifts. Wanna correct me, feel free, and please do. And that's a kind of a problem. Like, imagine if a TV show just refused to acknowledge the season that came before it, or like a book or something. That seems crazy to me, and I don't know how something like this happens across so many people. I don't know. Like, season 2 just feels like a new season 1. It isn't, but it isn't a new season 1. Clearly isn't. We know that. There's nothing that will ever change the fact that this is a season 2 by its own merits. It said it's gonna be season 2, it's titled as season 2. The logo has 2 swords, for God's sake. There is no reason this is not a season 2. It was stated this is a continuation. You don't have to be quiet. And there's the people that have touched it. I have 4 examples. 3 actually. 4th one is about pics, which I've decided not to speak on. Dumb point, speaking about something you don't know. So, Shelby with the Evermore being the Undergrove, duh. Soldiers with his whole lore, which I don't know much about. I'm going to be honest. I have like one friend that watches Sausage, and they've just kind of stopped watching Empires. Um, I'm not going to talk about Pixel and Lizzie. Because we mentioned the Tiger Prince and Princess and Zornoth. No idea why nobody else has talked about this, but Lizzie went. She went to Shelby's Place Farm under it and saw the summoning circle. She said something either that this is going to be a direct quote or something along the lines of, because I wrote this at school. No means to fact check it. Don't really care to fact check it. Uh, she's trying to summon you know who. We all know who you know who is, and especially who that you know who is summoned by a summoning circle that just also happens to be red. I guess redstone, but still. Like, could you make a more obvious Zornoth reference without saying his name? I mean, maybe the skull that Scott has, but that's a theory. Yes, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Uh, like, give me a second to read because I don't remember what I wrote down. I became emotionally exhausted while writing this. It's that bad. It's okay. I'm just gonna start reading this again because I haven't been doing that for like a little while. I mean, think about it. They have so much they could work with and do their own stuff and make a good story. How do I know? That's what the community has been doing. That's what I've been doing, and I'll be the first to say, I'm not a good writer. It's true. I've gotten better thanks to Empires, but my stories still suck for the most part because, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not good at writing conflict. I'm good at character interactions, so I treat conflict as a character interaction to a fault. It can be annoying, but whatever. Sometimes just gonna have to move on from something like this. Um, I'm not sure if they've just like put all of the lore that they want to do to the end of the season for a cliffhanger for season 3. And honestly, this season is either going to get better or be the awkward middle child of a season that everyone will just kinda talk about for the ships and the fact that Ollie is a thing, and then will be ignored, which I wouldn't like to happen. But stuff happens. Shit happens. Shit happens. Assumption number 2. They don't interconnect the role correctly or at all. Now, when I say this, I'm not talking about connecting it to season 1. That's its own point. Uh, I don't know, and I don't really care. It could be because of my bad speaking skills, but yeah. Um, season 1 is it connecting it to season 1 is its own point. Let's not mix things up around here just yet. Um, just like season 2 on its own. And now I'm getting to the thing that Vibes mentioned, where basically I want you to name anyone to name one one interaction that moves the lore forward or connects the lore between two characters. That is an action, not that just randomly happens. So like, not like Lizzie and Flip putting their empires next to each other. That seemingly has no bearing to anything and is just where the empires were placed. An example that I've written down is the fight between Shelby and Joe for Catherine. Also, nothing from the Hermitcraft, because we all know that didn't really do shit. Nothing happened from Hermitcraft. We all know that. Did nothing happened. Hermitcraft was just kind of a thing that happened once upon a time that we do not talk about. Anyways, as this is a script, and I have no idea for what people were going to say, I wrote some of my own examples. The conflict, or the fight rather, fight even feels too strong of a word. The rivalry between Joe and Jimmy shall be turning Owen human. The festival, the aforementioned fight between Shelby and Joe, Joe stealing Shelby's letter to her grandma, Shelby being a criminal and accidentally, not in lore, killing two people. Also, could see the argument for Hermes, but we're not gonna mention it because if somebody wants to argue that, good on you. I don't know how to argue it. Um, there are more things like Jem getting her wings and like sausage and like his whole lore thing, but those are not major. Like, yeah, Jem got her wings by following the most random spirits that have never come back, by the way, and don't tie to her being a celestial. I don't wanna. Here's the thing, vibes. I don't wanna call that wasted potential because it, nothing has been done with it because it's so recent, and Jem spaces out her lore. So don't want to call it a wasted potential. That's a little too strong for this specific situation. Um, and like looking at this small list, there are more things, but couldn't be bothered to remember them or list them. Um, like they seem like a lot of stuff. I mean, there was an entire rivalry between two emperors, a god and a sheriff. That must that must be at least something, alright? That must go. Here's the thing. I get the month thing, but one thing you have to realize is that Gem is also part of Hermitcraft, which has a mega base. And in that time, she completed the mega base and built the mega tree blossom tree, so I'm not mad about it. It's just a thing that happens with content creation. Anyways, moving on because I'm also not trying to argue. Don't know why I went on that tangent. Anyways, um, like, did, did anything of this ever lead to anything? Like, Joey and Jimmy's rivalry led to like mild pranks for like 2 to 3 months and then peace. I've had worse pranks being done to me by my friends when we were like 7 without destroying my house, by the way. Shelby turning on human was just shenanigans, at least for the first episode. I, like, literally, when the second episode of Vern being back dropped, it was like the time, like around the time I decided that I do not have the emotional energy to go through Scott's videos, so just stop watching Scott. I mean, yeah. Well, I'm just like mentioning things very matter of fact, so I don't dwell on the details. Because if we dwell on the details of season 2, we're all going to be here all day. I think that's a given. Uh, the festival was just there to introduce the hermit thing, which nothing came out of the interdimensional crossover. Not even St. Perla. Okay, sure, whatever. Shelby and Joe's fight, and then subsequently Joe stealing the letter. It was fun, good lore, and from the looks of it, stealing the letter has sent Shelby into having a moment. Having. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it having a moment because there's no other way. Uh, Now, and Shelby being a criminal, do like it. Um, like I like the academy stuff. Shelby has done a really good stuff with the Shelby lore and the lore around Shelby. It's really good. I can't wait to see Shelby's corruption grow. But yeah, but like there's a pattern here, a kind of obvious one. Uh, 3 out of the 5 things Shelby's a big part in, which is not bad. I love Shelby. I love Shelby. Love that lore. Literally just said that. But like, it feels like Shelby and Sausage bring the lore and the story to the others. Like, in season 1, we had more conflict in less time. Season 1 lasted like 5 months, if I'm not mistaken. Like, season 1 has already ended, and season uh and like season 2 is in the middle. Which fair, you wanna make it longer, you whatever, do your thing. But like you can't just make something longer and have less conflict. Like Zornoth was a very good thing. He was there specifically to make all of the characters and stories come together. Something which Vibes said. It was a uh, uh, okay, Vibes about that. Jem mentioned that with the whole Hermitcraft thing. Like she mentioned Empires and Hermitcraft meeting. I think that's what she mentioned, but yeah. And honestly, wouldn't like them meeting. I don't think that would be a good idea. Wouldn't be a good idea at all, in my opinion. My humble, I'm making a less, but my opinion. um, Basically, like Zornoth. Uh, Zornoth was first summoned by Sausage, who ended up getting corrupted because of it. Action and consequences. We love to see it. Uh, like so that happened, and then it turned out that Scott, who would have really been in the background without his connection to Zornoth, because they were siblings. Otherwise, it would have been a quite lame light versus dark connection, which go for it, I guess. But I'm glad they have more of a personal connection. And Zornoff even was like brought with Joel. Joel even played a part in that, even if a very small part, which I like. The no lore guy doing the tiniest bit of lore. Uh, it's fine, don't worry. We're not doing anything important here. Uh, like Zornoff posed a threat to everyone. Like Zornoff posed a threat to everybody. There wasn't a single character he did not threaten. He put all the stories together. And like before that, before all of them in conflict, do you know what we had? We had the cod and salmon war. The thing that I originally thought was going to be the main conflict, but it wasn't, and I'm glad that would have made for a kind of still conflict. Uh, the Wither Rose Alliance, really good lore wise, like really tiny piece of lore, but also added a lot. Scott freezing Gem, Elsa style, Gem's small villain arc, could never forget. And we could go on, but if we did, we'd just be recapping season 1. We would just be recapping season 1 at this point if we kept going. Now, I'm going to take a sip of water because my throat hurts before moving on to the last point. Where is my mute? Alright, I have unmuted. If I was ever muted, do not trust buttons. Alright, so, third point. And this is the most important one, in my opinion. Um, they didn't plan how season 2 would fit into season 1. This is a bold claim. It really is. And I hope it's not true, but feels like it is. Feels like they didn't really think this through. How can I say that? What proof do I have? I'm not sorry. I'm gonna bring this into it. MLP. Sounds weird, but stick with me for a brief second. Promise this is going to make sense really soon. So, if anyone here is familiar with the dislike for Gen 5, you most likely also know why. Because they used Gen 4 as a jumping off point without really considering what that meant and not really using what Gen 4 built up. But Gen 5 is still good. Never watched Gen 4, never liked it, still like Gen 5. And that really seems so similar to what's happening with Empire Season 2. If Empire Season 2 was its own thing, nobody would be having any problems with it. Like, Season 2 is just not a good Season 1 continuation. Like, I hate to say this, but it's not a good sequel story. At least so far. When two people are the only ones with real connection to the first season, when the first season, let's be honest, doesn't really matter. When the new stuff goes nowhere, don't say it doesn't. The Hermitcraft thing didn't go anywhere, and that was really important. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, no, I'm gonna stop you right there. We don't need more lore in season 2. We need the lore that we have to be better. No, no, I went over. I'm going to go over this again. It wasn't the like season 2, season 1 had less lore. It was just better connected, which is my point. It was less. It it couldn't have been more because season 2 builds off of season 1. So it can't be more lore. Like season 2 of She-Ra. No, it's fine. I know I'm not explaining this correctly. It's not your fault. It is mine. I am shit at speaking. Yes. Thank you, Vibes. Someone knows how to speak. um, someone knows how to speak. Thank you. But like the first thing doesn't really matter. The new stuff doesn't go anywhere. I mean, what really happened with hermits? Even Saint Perla wasn't a thing. She just wasn't. Why? Why would you set this up and not have it pay off? Oh, oh, vibes. Vibes don't. Oh my god. No, you know what? No, no, no. The problem. You can tell how still mad I am about this. By the way, I try to form a sentence and then immediately stop. I love how I wrote a script about this. I'm now following it out. Okay. Joel's episode. That wasn't the problem. You can drop the lore immediately. You cannot do lore. I don't care. What you don't do is you don't make lore on the spot for a cheap and meaningless reference. You shouldn't do that. That shouldn't even be a line that can be crossed, but it was. They managed to cross a line that should not have even existed. How do you do that? How does one manage to do that exactly? I need a minute. I need a minute. Okay. It's been longer this season 2 has ever been. Season 4 has been longer in month length than season 2. Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Anyways, season 2 has been going on for longer than season 1. And very recently, with Shelby being corrupted, have I felt it being close to the point of Zornoth being first summoned and introduced. That's what it feels like. Like Zornoth just got introduced. Like this season Zornoth just got dropped. 6 fucking months in. In the OG series, it was like month and a half to 2 months at the longest before Man was announced. It feels this shouldn't be happening. And and Flip was the first one that uploaded, so yeah, 7 months. And season 1 lasted for like 5 months. Yeah, for like 5 months. They did more in 5 months than they've done in 7. This is the opposite of how that works. I didn't do more work. I didn't do more and better work in Manimatic that took 4 months between this one that is still ongoing. It sounds like we're making this up, but we're not. We are not making this up. And that's disappointing. I don't like to be negative. The most negative I've been about before Joel's newest episode was about ships. Was about a ship that I don't like. But even then, I was just displeased. I wasn't angry. I wasn't disappointed. Because, honestly, how can we expect it to not be disappointed after all of this? After 7 months of Practically nothing. I don't want Zornath back. Zornath was season 1, and season 1 was great. If Zornoth was in season 2, it wouldn't be good. Because season 2 isn't good. I want to hope that it'll be good. But we've passed the point where hope has just turned into huffing copium. I hate to admit this, but I think the entire fandom is on copium. I don't think season 2 is going to get better. I hope, truly goddamn hope, that I am wrong. That Shelby will have a villain arc or something will goddamn happen finally and prove me wrong, prove whoever thinks like me wrong, because that's what that's because that's the only way to not be disappointing, essentially. Season 2 could have been so much. Yet, it's nothing. The crossover, that damned crossover, was such a red flag in hindsight. Ollie just being behind the dragon was such a red flag in hindsight. This should not have happened. It should not have taken 7 fucking months. Yeah, I know. It's not gonna be good. We're all on copium. But, you know, this is gonna get really personal because this is a really personal topic to me, but I don't think we've reached that. We were there before Shelby got corrupted, but now we're bringing it back. And I hope the crossover just took too long to set up, and that's why we're behind? Because time zones, and realistically, that could be it. I hope it's that. Even then, that's not that big of an excuse. But, whatever. It's something to call an excuse. Something to point fingers and blame. Which we need. We need something to point fingers and blame. And if this season turns out to be good, I'm going to be blaming time zones. Because that's reasonable. And this is personal and kind of off topic, but I'm gonna whoever doesn't like Steven Universe and justifying redemptions better click off because that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. Because Steven Universe meant a lot to me. I discovered it right before the Diamond Days arc, which was right when the show became so much worse. They redeemed the space tyrant and thought that would have been a good idea. That was the mindset when I joined Steven Universe. Steven Universe wasn't, the finale wasn't a good show. Most people thought it would never be good again. That it pulled a Starverse the Force of Evil Blood Moon Ball and would all go to shit. And then the movie dropped. And then Future dropped. And what happened? It fixed what was wrong. It didn't erase it, but it fixed it. To some degree, obviously. You can't fix nothing. Nothing can be fixed. Nothing can be truly fixed. Nothing can ever be truly perfect. But that's no excuse not to try. And I honestly can't tell if they're not trying or not trying hard enough. But, you know, I think there is always a silver lining. I try to look at things that way, as stupid and stubborn as it may be. I hope that it'll get better. I will stay on this copium I am having that the season will get better at some point. Because that's all we really have. We have a promise that until season 2 ends can be fulfilled. It can't erase the 7 months of nothing. It can't erase something so meaningless, but it can make it hurt less. And if that doesn't happen, maybe season 2 will just be the community and friends we build along the way. Maybe it'll just be the stories and AUs and head canons we made. But I honestly just hope that it's not nothing. Because letting it become nothing is, in my eyes, the biggest tragedy and the biggest disappointment. Because if the fans, if the creators can make it into something, why can't the fans? That's what I've been trying to do. I've been failing the more I get into it because I can't write conflict correctly. But I've been trying. And I don't know if I've been doing a good job, and I don't think I have been. But I'm trying. I haven't given up. And season 2 is starting to feel like they're giving up. Like they've given up. And I hate that. It could be a me thing. I could just be the one person that hates giving up. Uh, no. Jimmy's season 2 villain arc would have been before he made friends with Joel. That's when that would have happened. We are past the point that it is logical. The logical villain arc is a Shelby villain arc followed by a redemption. That's the only way something can happen. And thankfully, it's something that I've passed. Because I shouldn't have to say this, but after 7 months of nothing, I should not have needed to use an obstacle I made for a personal AU with friends for season 1. Lydia, the villain of my season 2 AU, was never meant to be the villain. She wasn't even meant to be something known to the community. I passed my 3 friends that saw her when she was needed. Because I didn't think I would need her. I was always ready to pull her out, and I thought it would be cool if I could use her in some way. But ultimately, I knew it wouldn't happen. Yes, nobody can see the future. it shouldn't have taken 7 months to get to a possible conflict. The Shelby villain arc thing is a possible conflict. What happened here? Season 2 did more with less. Season 1, I'm getting my brain is turning into mush so much. I'm getting the seasons mixed up. Season 1 did more with less. Season 2 Season 2 is doing less with more. And I get it. Season 2 is hard to write for. I get it. But that's an excuse up to a point. They had a year to do something with season 2, to plan something out. I have had about 3 months, and I know that sounds weird. Season 2 has been going on for 7 months. Officially 7 months. And I'm only saying I've only had like 3 months to make my EU. Why is that? Because it took 4 months to get some substance that I could build off of. And I built off of anything. I have built an entire AU around Monsuno, a show I haven't properly watched in 10 years. I haven't properly watched it since I was 5. I'm now 15. I still have a well-written AU just from what I remember. And yet, here we are. This should not be possible. I keep saying this, but that's it. This shouldn't be possible. This shouldn't be a thing. How did this become a thing? Season 2 of Empires. What happened? Empires SMP. What the fuck happened? I was nervous about season 2 from the beginning. But again, I'm nervous about everything. I am a nervous person. That's just what happens. I'm nervous after I post. Like, until the video gets a comment, I'm checking on it constantly. There are videos that I've gotten 0 comments, but are doing really well in anything else. And I'm still anxious about if they're doing well. I'm just that anxious. But all of them. It's getting so much harder to stay. It's getting so much harder to stay on topic because my script ended couple of minutes ago. Like I think like 10. Yeah, I think like 10 minutes ago is when my script ended. And why am I still talking about this? Well, what else am I meant to do exactly? Just stay silent until the season ends, which was my original plan. Up until today, that was my plan. But then I started making pointers for that. And I realized, no, I am too disappointed. I can't even be angry at the season anymore. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed and confused. How do you fail like this? I've had bad stories. Most of my old stories are bad and have been retconned to hell and back. My old stories were the product of a traumatized child trying to cope with reality by making themselves the main character. And they made more sense, more happened in them. I don't mean to be mean. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be negative. But at some point, hope and patience and positivity makes meets its match, meets its end, meets the point that it can't go back. I'm not there yet. I'm really close to being there, evidently. But I'm not there yet because I don't know why. I should be there, but I am not. Because I want to hope and I want to just swallow whatever and just believe something will happen, even if nothing will. I need to believe that something will happen for my own sanity. And because someone has to. Because, as I said before, I think the worst thing we can do to season 2 is let it be nothing. That is more than I wanted to say, and that's all I really have to say. I'm going to go drink some of the water, gonna mute, gonna drink some water, and if anybody has any questions or anything they would want to mention or talk about, now's the time to do so. Alright, it's right. If nobody wants to add anything, then this will be the end of the stream. I have a video to edit after all. Goodbye, everybody. Hope you at least enjoyed or, I don't know, had some confirmation that